welcome everyone to general surgery meeting. Want to welcome some of our old friends who are well known to the department. We're going to start out with a blast and set a really high standard for everyone that follows. We want to welcome all the students as well. Met you yesterday, Jack. And what other students do we have here? So 3 of you. Sorry?
My name is Locke.
Okay, nice to meet you. And in terms of the new interns, we have Jack and Macy.
And Lucky, who's with Team One.
With Alex at the moment, I think.
Oh, okay, are they coming?
They'll be on their way.
And also to the rest of our registrar and fellow, and Debbie and Cassie, welcome. So today we're doing another final leadership series for the term for the outgoing registrar and fellow, also for the incoming interns, students, and registrar. And we do this once every sort of 2-3 months. And really the purpose of this is to help all of us to become a better leader. Now you're in healthcare, you are doing a highly stressful, highly charged job. You've got to be able to keep up with the pace and set a good example in leadership yourselves. And that's how you're going to impact everyone around you. So today I'm going to talk about the 3 habits to achieving high performance in surgery. Sometime in September last year, I got a call from a dear friend and an ED colleague. His name is Kong, he's otherwise known as Ken. He told me that he had some abdominal pain for a few weeks. This guy loved food and he had lost his appetite, which is strange, and lost about 20 kilograms of weight by that stage. And he said, Jimmy, I was reading a book last night and I just felt a mess in my belly. So he did what every doctor would do, wrote himself a form, got a CT scan the next day, and the radiologist said that he probably has pancreatic cancer. He said, I just want to know what you think. Don't worry about telling me bad news. I have already spoken to my wife and parents and for anything. So I logged into Queensland X-ray and studied the scan, and the scan showed a large mass in the abdomen. And it's hard to know if this mass was coming from the pancreas or from the small bowel. Either way, it looked bad. It looked like there was some free fluid and some metastatic deposits in the mentum. But it didn't look like pancreatic cancer to me. It looked more like a GIST, a big mass that was compressing on the stomach, the spleen, the colon, and it was exerting a mass effect in the body and causing left-sided portal hypertension. So I brought him to the best surgeon I knew for this job, Shin Yong, HPB transplant surgeon from the PA. Shin agreed to see him, and after doing all the investigations of FDG, PET scan, diagnostic lab, took him for a palliative resection of the tumor. The problem is by that stage, the tumor was very large, it was bleeding. The first day when Shin saw Kong, his hemoglobin was 70, he was pale, thick like snow, and he had 4 units of blood transfusion at a time, and it would go up to 90, and then he would bleed again. And he also developed some autoantibodies to the blood that he was receiving. So for the amount of blood that he was receiving, it didn't increment much. And he had a lot of pain just from the mass effect of the tumor. He can't sleep flat. He was sleeping upright for 3 weeks. And this is a high functioning man. This is a man that was working 4 or 5 days a week in an emergency department up to the very day he had a CT scan and was delivered the bad news. And he also had significant amount of weight loss at that stage, and we told him that, you gotta eat, man. You can't go into this big operation with no nutrition. You're not gonna heal. Your joint's gonna leak. Despite us telling him to eat more, he had a lot of pain. He can't eat, he can't poop because of the mass effect of the tumor on the colon. And we were telling him to eat more, to prepare himself, but he just couldn't do that. So for the 1 week before the surgery, we had to put him on TPN, and waited patiently for the day of surgery. It must have been the longest 3 weeks. And I seriously have no idea how KF was able to endure up to then. And I think he would be dead if we had waited longer. He was sticks and bones by that stage. He was pale. His HB was just above 80 after multiple bags of blood transfusion. And most surgeons would have just palliated him. On the day of surgery itself, Shin did his usual routine of preparing the headlight, preparing his glasses, studying the scan, and then he pointed out the attachment of the mass to the SMA to me, and he told me this is the most crucial part. This is what's going to decide if the mass is resectable, or whether he dies on the table or he makes it out alive. And there were multiple feeding vessels of the SMA to the tumor, which is why the tumor is so vascular, which is why it bled so much. And Shin began the laparotomy. The mass was so big, he had to extend the incision laterally to achieve adequate exposure. But all this was pre-planned, was rehearsed in Shin's brain. He was extremely focused. Every move that he did was meaningful, was elegant, was graceful. And when it came to the SMA part, I remember I was holding the tumor with one hand to expose the SMA for him, and he was carefully just ligating and dividing every single feeding vessels. With my other hand, I was holding the sucker or the scissors. And after 5 hours of long operation, we managed to get the tumor out. It was a big tumor. And KF remained very stable throughout the whole case. He spent 2 more weeks after the surgery to recover, and he was able to get home after that. And for those of you who know KF and follow the news from Metro North, the cancer did recur very quickly, and KF eventually passed away on Christmas Day. But KF was very grateful that he got to spend an extra 3 months with the family and the friends and loved ones, and he was even able to plan the funeral himself. Without the palliative surgery, he would be long gone. As I ponder on the day of surgery itself and what Shin did on that day, that was a classical example of high performance in surgery. You must understand, most surgeons would have just palliated him, given how unwell he was and the size of the tumor. But the way Shin approached the case, the way he had rehearsed in his brain so many times before the surgery, the efficiency of the movement, the way he carefully tied and divided every single vessel, the way he did all the anastomosis, the decision-making process, these were all evidence of high performance in surgery. And one mistake or one mishap in this extremely unwell man with poor reserve would mean the difference between horrible death on the table or complications in hospital and the 3 months well spent with family and friends. He said, James, would you be able to do the surgery if it were you? And I told him no, not at that stage. Now, you guys must be thinking, well, Shin must be one gifted individual. He must be inherently gifted or has some sort of special touch that he's able to do this. And you might have met people like that in your life who makes it all look so easy. The friend of yours in high school who has earned multiple degrees and still able to do 2 jobs at the same time and do it all without breaking a sweat, or a friend who's able to run a successful business but still have a very thriving family life and marriage, and somehow whatever the person touched turned into a smashing success. These are the high performers in life, and it turns out that high performance has very little to do with genetics, personality traits, your race, your gender, the country, or even the home that you were brought up in. What really sets this high performance apart ultimately boils down to 2 things. Key habits in your life. In other words, it's not who you are, but rather what you do that's important. And these habits didn't form by accident. The high performers take them on deliberately in their life and practice them consistently every single day. And don't confuse these habits with life hacks that you watch on YouTube. Simple magical changes that you can implement and suddenly your life becomes amazing. High performers outperform their peers because they consciously and consistently practice these habits. And the second thing is confidence. And this is not just some blind self-belief that say, I'm going to be a millionaire by the age of 30. This is confidence that's based on solid vision and plan and continuing and diligent practice, that you are going to gain more knowledge and skill, and your confidence will grow, making it even easier for you to keep growing and learning. And this loop of continual growth and self-improvement is the hallmark of high performance. Before we go on to explore these habits, why does high performance matter? Why not just be average? But if you take an hour and a half to do a gallbladder, have a couple of 100 mils of blood loss in surgery, that's all right? Or is there a need to improve on that? So long as you don't injure the bile duct, a couple 100 mils of blood loss, it's not a big deal. You will still go home the next day. Or if 1 or 2 out of every 10 anastomosis that you do leak, what's the big deal about that? That's pretty good, right? In MNN, just say that there's nothing to improve on. Just say that I've done everything right, the blood supply was good, that there was no tension, the orientation was right, it leaks. If you are someone who have not published a paper before, you can just say, nah, that's not my thing. You can do as many oral or poster presentations you like, and not take serious effort to write a research paper. That's going to take a lot of your time and effort. So why do we strive to improve our performance? I want to state 4 simple reasons. Because good performance has got a greater impact on your surrounding. Your teammates and colleagues depend on you for good performance. Your patients will benefit from it. And ultimately, your happiness and personal satisfaction in work are closely tied to mastery of tasks and performance. And just someday, you will encounter a patient like KF when it means everything to get it right. So when you look at high performers around you, what do they possess that sets them apart? There are three things I will talk about today. The first habit is clarity of purpose. The high performers are extremely clear with who they are and what they want to achieve. You don't see them trying to do 20 things and hoping that one of them will strike gold. Instead, they have a purpose, they have a direction, and focus in everything they do. And they know precisely what actions are helping them to reach the goal. And there are 4 parts to this. First is they are clear with themselves. They know what kind of person they are and what kind of person they want to be. For example, you might say, I want to be the best version of myself in marriage, family, and work. And as simple as this is a good start, because some people won't even get there because they have not consciously thought about it. So for these high performers, in their secret lives, they have already pre-decided what kind of person they want to be. And once they decide the person that they want to be, the question that they ask is, have I behaved this way so far or not? And if not, what do I need to change? And the high performers also know their own weaknesses. They know exactly what they need to do to overcome these weaknesses, keeping them from achieving their goals. For example, when I was younger, I would always struggle to complete a task. I was very good at starting something, but not very good at finishing it. And I would often leave a job halfway, half done, because I've lost interest. And I disliked that about myself a lot. So what did I do? I started running. I started ultra running. And when people ask me why, I would tell them I run to change myself. Because I want to learn how to persevere. I want to learn how to endure. I want to know how to finish a race well. And now I can look back and honestly say that weakness is behind me now. And for you, it might be different. Your weakness might be procrastination. It might be your eating or spending habit. Or maybe it is your agreeableness, the need to be liked and approved by people. And if these weaknesses are stopping you from high performance, you need to find a way to address it. The second part is high performers are very clear in their social interaction. There's no accidents, no randomness with them. They don't have an autopilot for socializing. Whenever there is a meeting or lunch date, question that these high performers have is, how can I shape this meeting in a positive way? And third, they are very clear in a field of skills they want to develop, and they know precisely what they want to improve on. They will focus on primary profession or certain skills and work on giving themselves time to practice while avoiding all distractions. For example, if you are a junior doctor, for some of you in the room, your first goal has to be totally comfortable in managing the ward patient, managing all the common post-op issues like fever, low urine output, delirium. You want to learn to write good notes. You want to learn how to pick up the phone and make good referrals to your colleagues and know why you refer them. Nobody is going to give you bonus points as an intern if you know how to do an anterior resection, because that's not what is expected of you. And if you can't get the basics of surgery right, you're not going to go very far. People are not going to give you jobs that is more advanced for you. Prime example of a good junior doctor is Caitlin. And when Caitlin is in a ward, she's always well organized. She knows exactly what to do. The registrar trusts her to run the ward. And whenever she comes to you with an issue, she has thought this through multiple times. She already had a solution in mind, and she just comes to you. You just see that whenever you give her a job, the way she does it is different from a lot of people. And if you are interested in surgery, now is also the time to get your primary exam sorted. As you progress to PHOs, you are learning more common surgical emergency. You're learning how to work up a patient. You are learning how to drain abscesses, do appendixes, and you are learning how to be a good surgical assistant for your boss in more complex cases. And you might want to start doing some research, write case reports, and also practice doing some oral presentations. When I was a PHO, I knew exactly how many papers I was going to write that year, what project I was going to do, my deadline, when I was going to finish it, when I was going to get the paper sorted, and I know which presentation I was going to go to. I know that for every stage of my career. And in the beginning, you really want to practice your basic surgical skills. You need to know all your instruments well, know what instruments to use for what circumstances. And as Peter Tessa said, instruments are really just an extension of your hand. Dr. Tessa is a well-known cardiothoracic surgeon. You want to nail all the open hernias. You want to understand different methods of hemostasis and develop a plan in your head of how you're going to approach every surgery. And as you progress further, you want to start doing the more complex cases like anterior resection, laparotomy. Like an athlete or a craftsman, you don't just become good at something because you have assisted in it 100 times. You got to develop in your head how you're going to do it. You're going to adopt that movement. You're going to practice that in your own surgery. And you're going to find ways to improve. You're going to watch lots and lots of surgical videos. You're going to find a coach, find a mentor, and get feedback from your surgeon about your own surgery and how you can improve. And in the ward, in managing patient, you learn all the basic stuff, basic theory of medicine. Now you're going to apply that to real world. And as you progress in your career, 1 + 1 doesn't equal to 2. You need to know how to tailor what you have learned to the patient that is in front of you. You don't just become good at something because you've done it a lot. You've driven a car for many years of your life, for many hours, but it doesn't make you a good driver. It's deliberate, intentional practice, working on your weaknesses, that you could finally bend the curve and achieve mastery. And fourth and final part is these high performers are very clear in their service to others. High performers are always finding a way to give it back to others. They're not selfish. They are good at working on behalf of others and not just themselves. And as a result, high performers make everyone around them better. The second habit is what I call raising the necessity. High performers always attach the personal goal to an external obligation or motivation, to a force that's greater than themselves. Now let's imagine two runners. Both have the same track record, same kind of training, same coach. One of them is running for personal glory. The other one is running for the mother lying in the hospital. Who do you think will win? Melody?
One for the mom.
That's right.
It's just like a close to heart purpose.
That's right. So that's because you raise the stakes, and raising the stakes improves performance. And high performers will always bring an extra urgency to the work that they are doing, and usually in the form of an obligation that is added to their own internal desires. And this provides them with more motivation and increase their likelihood of success. And the underlying motivation is always something greater than themselves. Underperformers, on the other hand, will rely solely on their own desire to succeed. And that makes success a preferable outcome and not a necessary one. Remember when I was applying to the program as a PHO, we just had our firstborn. And my child was just a few months old, and we were planning to have 2 or 3 kids. And I told myself, I want to get to the program in the shortest time possible because I want to finish my training when they were young. I don't want to get into the surgical training when they are older. That means I'll spend a lot of more of my time in hospital than watching them grow up. When I was sitting for my fellowship exam, my oldest was 5, my youngest was 2. I told myself I have one good shot at it. I'm going to study the best that I can because I want to pass my exam and not waste the $9,000 to the college and get the exam sorted. So raising the stakes improves your performance. And that's the reason why I woke up. So that provides me with the motivation and a drive, make sure I deliver a good presentation to you guys. And you've got to be able to raise the stake and dial out some healthy pressure in your life when it's needed. And for some of you, it's your loved ones. It's your spouse, family. For some of you, it's the dream life that you and your partner want to have. That's going to drive you to move forward. For some, it is to break free from some traumatized childhood that you had or some poverty cycle that you were in. And for some, it's because you just want to prove other people wrong. It may be your primary school teacher or the bully in the playground that look down on you and keep telling you that you're not good for anything. Now, I don't suggest that you use this as an external motivator because this is going to consume you. You get the idea. You gotta have something that drives you. You gotta know your why and use that to drive you. And the third and the final habit I want to share is generating energy. High performers are always full of energy to perform the kind of work they do. And there's a reason why. Look at the way these high performers look after their body, manage their routine, their diet, and exercise. It's not surprising why they seem to have so much energy. There is a reason for that. Neuroscientists have found that regular exercise increases production of certain neurons in your brain that's related to learning and memory. And exercise also improves mood, reduces stress, and all these things adds up to a greatly enhanced performance. While underperformers are good at coming up with excuses as to why they can't work out, high performers make routine exercise a habit and stick to it. And self-care is something these high performers don't neglect. You got to be able to look after yourself so you can look after other people. And some of you might say, oh, Jimmy, you don't understand. I start work at 7. It takes me 45 minutes to drive to work, and my registrar wants me to be at work at 6:30 to prepare the list. Where do I find time to work out? And you work me so hard, I don't leave the hospital till like 7, 8 p.m. at night. Where is the time to work out? If this is important to you, you will find a way to prioritize it and work it into your own routine. And For some of you, morning may not be a good time. I get it. For some of you, it may be in the evening. So you want to make a habit of not staying 3 to 4 hours in hospital after your rostered finish time, because you want to get out. You want to go to the beach, walk in the beach, do some running, go to the gym, and exercise. And personally, for me, I'm a morning person. I've got 3 young kids, and by the time I get home in the evening, my time is all theirs. I feel very selfish just doing my work, and so whenever I get home, all the work goes aside, and I'm just with them. So I do all my stuff in the morning. I wake up at 4:30, and I get my inspirations from the book, The 5 a.m. Club. I'm not sure if you guys have read the book. I modify a bit. I call my book 4:30 a.m. Club. I wake up at 4:30. I'll go for a 30-minute run. So basically, the premise of the book is that you want to have a good morning routine. They call it a 30 minute. You start the first 30 minutes doing some high intensity exercise to kickstart the adrenaline system, wake you up, and you spend the next 30 minutes sort of meditating and reflecting on what's important in life, and you spend the next 30 minutes doing deep work because you are fresh, your adrenaline is up there, and you can do the difficult tasks early in the morning where there's no distraction. I wake up at 4:30. I would normally go for a run at 4:30 or do some strength workout in my own gym. I'll read my Bible from 5:30 for 30 minutes, and then I'll spend the next 30 minutes planning, doing work that can only be done when there's no distractions. My kids wake up at 6 o'clock. I have half an hour, 40 minutes to get them ready, and I'll leave home. I'll take my daughter to daycare, drop her there, and come to work and be here at 7:30. Start. And that's my routine. You find your own routine, a routine that will generate energy for your life to do the kind of work that you guys have to do. And I go to bed by 10:30. My night routine is very simple. I don't have devices. I don't expose my eye to the devices because the blue light and the dopamine from scrolling Instagram will keep you awake and keep you away from a good night's sleep. I have got a fairly simple night routine. I've got some nice Philips light that I bought on Father's Day because I read that light has got an impact in your body, and that Philips light is one of the best investment. There's so many different colors that you can put on. You can choose Honolulu to dusk, dreamy dusk to like all the different setting, and the light will just somehow tell your body that it's time to calm down, dial down the adrenaline. I do some light reading. I've got a massage chair that I just relax. I spend some time with my wife, and then I go to bed by 10:30. And the next day, the cycle repeats again. So these are the 3 habits: clarity of purpose, raising the necessity, and generating energy. Key habits for high performance in surgery. Now, finally, a word about high performance and leadership, because this is a leadership talk. I'm going to say something about leadership. You can be a high performer and not a good leader, but you can't be a good leader without being a high performer. And just like any skill that you want to learn, whether it's surgery or guitar, leadership is very similar. There are certain leadership skills that you can actually learn will make you a better leader. It's a myth that people are born great leaders. Nobody is born great. And if you interview all the great leaders out there, all of them would be able to tell you the mistakes that they have made, the people that they have hurt along the way, and time and energy and resources that they have wasted on the leadership journey. But great leaders never give up. They never stop learning. They're not good in everything, but they are high performers in certain key areas, in communication, in problem solving, in focusing on the big picture, on leading by example, and getting the workplace culture right. And remember, leadership is influence. It's not a job title. It's not a status. If you have influence on people and events around you, you are more of a leader than you give yourself credit for. So in short, remember 3 things: clarity of purpose, raising the necessity, and generating energy. A high performer has all of the above in order to do what they do best. Well, I hope this helps you in your individual and leadership journey. Keep learning, keep growing, keep asking for feedback, find a mentor, don't settle for less, look after yourself, Surround yourself with some good, like-minded people because everyone wins when the leader gets better.